was not expecting to watch one funeral this episode, much less two. Hello everyone, my name is Joe and I review a bunch of TV shows on this channel. Currently doing Severance, Prime Target, and soon to be starting The White Lotus and Yellow Jackets. You can also join me on Patreon where I'm reviewing Paradise and The Pit. Soon to be reviewing possibly a few murder mysteries because that's the stuff that I'm missing recently. Yes, 2 funerals. 2. One, obviously, for Irving, which... a watermelon head? A watermelon head. Really? Severance? Really? Lumon? They really are just laughing at them in their faces, aren't they? And then we see Mark's reintegration working, not in the way that I was expecting, because from the scenes that we've had from PT before, I thought the first things that were going to happen were the memories returning. But no, the first thing that happened, well, we saw one memory, but the biggest change this episode was his personality, because Audi Mark is inside. Like, he's a completely different person. He's sarcastic. He has absolutely not a smile on his face, like, ever. And, I was not expecting that. And I didn't see Mark S in this episode once, and I'm not sure if it's just Audi's Mark's personality coming in, or if it's also the fact that he is feeling very betrayed, potentially violated by Helena. We'll get there. But yeah, we didn't really see Mark S in this episode. We saw maybe a combination of him and Outie Mark, but honestly, we saw a lot more of Outie Mark. I mean, that elevator scene with Milkshake. And when in the beginning they were in Milkshake's office and Milkshake came with a whole German story, or what was it? Swedish story. And Mark just very sarcastically said, "Assume we don't know it." Like, that's Outie Mark. That's Audi Mark. But yeah, we see his reintegration starting to happen. He's living with reintegration lady, probably because she's trying to take care of him and make sure that what happened to Petey doesn't happen to him, because he actually has a purpose for this reintegration. Like, he wants to rescue Gemma, so he can't die. I mean, he's the main character, he can't die, obviously. But he's living with reintegration lady, lying to his sister, because his sister was still asking him about the eyeball thing. And I'll talk about the sister later, because I fucking love her, because she's still sticking to the idea that she wants to fight Lumon. But yeah, he's living with reintegration lady, and things are coming back to him. And what comes back to him? Gemma! Gemma inside Lumon comes back to him. Finally, he sees what he wanted to see, which is like evidence that she is alive. Isn't it curious? Isn't it curious that the first 2 things that change is his personality and his memories of Gemma? Because the memory that Mark had in last episode was also a memory of Gemma on the outside. Isn't it interesting, funny, that that's the stuff that comes back to him? Like, the first real episode of reintegration that Mark has is with Gemma. And after hearing his conversation with the reintegration lady, I'm assuming that the change is very slow at the moment because they need more sessions. The lady even said, "Oh, let's wait one more day." And by the way, when she said that, usually it's better that way. I was thinking, you've done this before many, many times. Like, who else is reintegrated? Who else have we seen inside Lumon that is reintegrated? I need to know, was Gemma reintegrated? No, she definitely wasn't. Anyway, she's done it, I think she's done it more times. And maybe we will find out who it is. But yeah, Gemma. During Milkshake's evaluation, we hear this one freaky sentence where the beard dude says that the Cold Harbor file, when Mark S finishes it, it's going to be the greatest thing that ever happened on the planet. Now, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, this is Colt talking. This is called manipulation talking. This is them exaggerating whatever it is. But is it? Are they exaggerating? Is it exaggeration? Because it kind of seemed like they all know what I just sneezed. It kind of seemed like they all know what the work the refiners are doing is. Like, the guy had to remember milkshake, remember what their work is, and remember who they are. And I'm like, what are they doing? Because this whole time I'm thinking, okay, they are reprogramming Gemma. They are reprogramming her to be a completely different person. But if this is the work they do, why would project called Harbour be such a revolution? Like, if this is the work they've been doing all along with the refiners, why would this one project be so important for them? Is it because Mark is working on the person he loves the most, which is Gemma? Is that what makes it so revolutionary? Because they are working with emotions and with identifying emotions and classifying clusters of emotions, the tempers they talk about. Because they are working on the emotions of these people, who are the files they work on, it makes sense that they need someone who knows that person, who has been connected to that person's emotions, who has experienced that person's emotions. So it would make sense that they would need Mark to work on Gemma for a successful project. However, what is he doing? Because if he's just reprogramming her to be a different person, is this the first time they are successfully doing it? Is this going to be the first project or file that is completed to perfection or something? Is it that the other employees, like the other permanently severed employees potentially, have never been reprogrammed? Has it never worked before? Or why is Gemma's file so important? And then the dude says to Milkshake, the work is mysterious and important. And in my mind I was thinking, is it mysterious to everyone? Do they even know what they're doing? Do they even know how it works? And because I was thinking, this freaking company, organization, cult, has existed for so long, for so many freaking decades. Is it possible that along the way, they forgot what they were doing? Like, they forgot what the purpose or how it works? Like, is it possible that so much time has passed and the way that they manipulate information, that they manipulate the records, the historic records or whatever? Is it possible? Because we hear about revolutions between departments, right, in the past. And I was thinking, is it possible that somewhere along the way there was a revolution of some sort and they lost like procedural manuals or something and they forgot or lost the information of what it is that they are doing? This is too silly. Like, this can't be true. But when he says the work is mysterious and important, I'm thinking, why is it mysterious? Do you not know what you're doing? Like, they must know. They must know what they are doing to Gemma. But do they know how it happens? Because sometimes I feel like no one knows what's going on, and they're just kind of pretending that they know what is going on so they can keep their heads up. Because, I mean, we get the same sense after Milkshake's evaluation, because basically they just throw him against the wall and say, you either play by the rules we set for you, or we're going to call everything you do a failure, and you are going to suffer the consequences. And that's when he says, I'll tighten the knot. What did he say? I'll tighten the knot. I'll tie the rope. He said something meaning I will be a lot more strict with them. And I mean, what is he afraid of? What are they going to do to him? And I think the answer is in the scene where he was reading his performance review, because the scene of him reading the performance review was interspersed with shots of Mark potentially reprogramming Gemma. And I was thinking, oh, So this means that if he fails again, if he fails to get a team in line, get a team to work, if he fails to be more strict, that's where he's going. Downstairs, to the exports door, to be reprogrammed. Potentially failed, potentially be reprogrammed by someone who won't complete the file. Because if the files they are refining / reprogramming, whatever it is that they are doing, don't always, or most of the time, don't get to completion, like they are not completed always, what happens to those people who are being reprogrammed? What happens to them? And I think Milkshake knows this. He has to know this. So doesn't it make sense that none of them really knows what's going on? They just know that the consequences of not playing by the rules are bad. Because we also have that scene of Milkshake with Natalie, where he's like, girl, I wanted to ask you once more about the paintings. How did you feel when you received yours? And baby girl is about to cry. She clearly didn't like it. She clearly doesn't like the subject and doesn't want to discuss it. But she still does her job because she must be afraid of something. And I mean, what is the worst thing they can do to them? To Milkshake, to Natalie, to Cobel? It's erase them, permanently sever them, because it truly will mean that the outie versions of them will die. Like, the outie version of Gemma is dead. Because baby girl lives in the severed floor. This is what I think the, highest consequences for them. Being permanently severed. And that's why Cobel ran away. But this is what I'm thinking. Is it possible that they are just all doing the work, all keeping in line and keeping the system going, but none of them really truly understands how it works? Otherwise, why would he say the work is mysterious? Is it like some magic that they don't understand yet? Is it like sci-fi from the future that they don't understand yet? Why is the work mysterious? And it all goes back to one of the first things we learn about this work in season 1, when they tried to teach Helly how to do it, and they're like, you can't think too much about it. When it appears, when you see it, you'll know it. And it's like, do they know how it works? Do they know? This is my question right now. Do they know? Or are they just doing it? Are they just carrying the cult's ideology from whatever they inherited, but along the way the information of what it actually is was lost? I really hope not, because I want to understand. I have my theories about what it is, but I want to understand. I want to understand what the hell the conclusion of the Cold Harbor file, the reprogramming of Gemma, is, that it is so important. Or maybe it is the fact that it really isn't that important. It's maybe important enough that he needs to finish it, but the reason why they tell Milkshake that is so important is because he needs to feel motivated to do it. That would be lame as hell. I really hope it is really important. I hope it makes sense, and I hope we figure out this season, because I need to know. And my theories are not good enough anymore. I need to know what's happening. Why is it so important that he finishes this specific project? Because how many projects have they worked on before? Probably many. They've been there for years. I mean, we see Irving's funeral goodbye party, and we have, first of all, hilarious that he doesn't have the date of the month or the year when he started working there or when he finished, because they couldn't tell us that, because then we would figure out what time period they are on. But they have the date of the quarters. What is it? Quarterly? Yeah, the quarters. It's 870 to 882. So he's been there for 12 quarters. So 3 years. Moving on from me going insane over this show, we also see right in the opening scene the exports guy, because remember before we learned that the paintings team no longer goes to the exports hall door to like take stuff. They have someone come pick it up and we see the guy, and we see a lot. We see a lot. First of all, we don't see his face, which kind of implies that the audience knows who this person is, maybe, so they don't show it. Second of all, we see him taking a tray of dentistry equipment. One single tray of dentistry equipment. That has to be for the people living downstairs, right? Maybe they're torturing them, maybe they're actually doing dentistry on them. He takes one tray of dentistry equipment. One tray. And 3, we notice that they're afraid of him. They're like, here you go. Leave. They're afraid of him. Why are they afraid of him? And why is he so happy? Why is he whistling? Who else do we see so happy on a severed floor? No one. And now Helena / Helly. Clearly no one cares about Helena. Because they just sent her there anyway, even though she almost died twice, as she pointed out. So no one cares about baby girl Helena. She doesn't really mean anything, and I'm getting the feeling that the family, like the Egan family, is more like the English royal family, you know? They're very important for appearances, but they don't actually do anything for the politics of the company. And we need to talk about Mark's reaction, because obviously he doesn't trust her, and I don't think he even knows how to behave with her. And I think this is not just about what happened in the last episode. I think it's also about the fact that Mark's outy personality is leaking in. But I mean, I understand why he's iffy, like talking to her. I understand why he doesn't want to engage with her. I understand what is happening, like he doesn't trust her, because, I mean, if I were Mark, if I was him, I would be feeling very violated by what happened, very. And also, not milkshake in the elevator saying he f***ed Helena. She took advantage of him. But on the other hand, Irving was the one to recognize her, not Mark, supposedly in love with her. Also, between Mark and Helena, we need to discuss that scene in the corridor where they are fighting about this specific topic that Mark doesn't trust Helly, and she said, well, you're gonna have to, there's no other option, whatever. And this had to be on purpose. The way that the camera was positioned on that scene, we see Mark almost fading in with the background, like the autofocus wall, corner of the wall that is on top of Mark, and we see him kind of coming out of the wall a little bit. And I was thinking, doesn't this look like he's escaping through the walls? He's leaving through the walls of the corridors of the severed floor of the Lumon offices. The same way that he kind of is already detaching himself from the team. Because the version of Mark that loves his team and wants them to be around and cares about them is Mark S. The Mark from the outside doesn't give two shits about his team. And I think these two versions of him fusing together with the betrayal he feels for Helena, he's detaching and distancing himself from the team. We see it with his reaction to Irving's funeral, how little time he spends there, the way he talks to Helena, the fact that he's working on the Cold Harbor file. And I feel like that scene was like kind of visually implying this, that he is detaching himself from the team. If anyone has an opinion on what it meant, because it surely wasn't by accident, let me know. But now that we're talking about Irving's funeral, so people die on the severed floor. And they have funeral materials prepared for everyone? Like, we saw the mugs with their faces. Because I was saying in my last video that the innies feel quite safe because technically Lumon cannot harm their outies' bodies. But I mean, if it really came to it, I'm pretty sure they would. Like, if they had some security reason or security risk, I mean, I'm sure they would go to extreme measures. And I was thinking that back then in that episode, but clearly they are prepared for it. Because of course, if they had to take out someone in the severed floor, they would have to find an excuse for it. Like they had a heart attack or something like that. And they even have the funeral materials prepared for any of them. Tell me Lumon is not capable of offing their employees. Because they are. And they even have it, like, prepared so far in the future to have a justification for it and an event for it. Those are not people to them. They are cattle. Like the people in the Matrix being harvested. Like the goats. And then we see Irving on the outside, again doing a call to someone. We still don't see who that person is. I still think it's quite plausible that it's the reintegration lady. And he says that he was fired because they probably found out what his Ini was up to. He has to be part of some revolution or some effort against Lumon. And he had been infiltrated in there. And his Ini probably didn't know about it. But he, like the outside Irving, must have known that his Ini was looking for the freaking export store. And then, guys, we get the most adorable moment of this entire episode because Burt once again has followed Irving to the phone booth. And they're so adorable. Even on the outside, they are attracted to each other. And Burt invites him to his house and whatever. And I mean, doesn't this speak to their connection, like between Inis and outies? Because they talk about this a little bit over the episodes, that when the Ini is happy and content, it reflects on the outie as well. Like they leave work feeling better or whatever. I'm pretty sure this is one of the reasons that Mark kind of did the severance procedure. Like he wanted to spend, I guess, less hours grieving his wife, but also he should be expecting to feel better from his Ini self feeling better, because the effects that like happiness and joy have on your body are like, you can feel it, you know? So if his Ini could feel it, probably his outie could feel it as well. And I mean, there is this connection between Inis and outies, and we see it not only in the way they feel, but we also see it, for example, with Irving and his nightmares about the freaking export store. So is it possible that Irving and Burt are going to fall for each other on the outside as well? I mean, I'm trusting that Burt is not an agent, a spy infiltrated from Lumon. I'm hoping he's just a person who got fired for having horny thoughts about his colleague. But yeah, it would fill my heart if they fell in love on the outside as well. It would fill my heart. Alright, before we leave this review, 2 more thoughts. 1, what the hell is happening with Mark's family that they are all involved in Lumon? Gemma is permanently severed, probably, being reprogrammed by her husband, probably. Mark is a severed employee reprogramming his wife, probably. And now the brother-in-law is writing a book for Lumon. And I mean, Mark's sister is right. He is writing propaganda for like a cult company organization. And honestly, I'm loving the sister because she's still like sticking to finding out whatever is happening at Lumon. And I think she's going to be an important player to support like Mark's reintegration. I mean, eventually he's going to have to tell her or she's going to figure it out. So I really like that scene. Since minute 1 that we met that husband of hers, I wanted her to divorce him. Since minute 1. I don't know what the hell is wrong with him. I don't know what's happening in his head. I hope she divorces him, takes the baby, and never sees him again. Ugh. Ugh. No. Final thought. I finally remembered Dylan's name. I finally remember him, and I remembered Dylan's name because I want more of him. Like, all the other characters have such interesting plot lines, and so far all we've seen of him is being a sassy little bitch at the workplace and wanting a wife. Like, I want more of Dylan. I want him to have a more complex character arc. Please give me more of Dylan. And yeah, that is all for today. I have one last theory. I thought about it, like a couple episodes ago, and then I never said anything about it because I thought it was too ridiculous and it was never going to come true. And I was like waiting for an episode that would not confirm this. However, we might not get that episode, so I'm just gonna say it. What if this goes in delusional theories bin. This is very delusional. I don't know why I thought of this, but it keeps coming back. We never hear about Helena's mother, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember everything, and maybe this makes no sense because it's been explained in the show. But I think Cobel could be her mother. Like, I know there is, like, some information about the fact that Cobel was in the hospital at some point, and I think there is an indication towards a daughter, maybe at some point. What if that's why she keeps coming back? Because she's trying to get her daughter out of the freaking cult that she was born into. Because Cobel says that she wasn't born into the family. Like, she had to work her way up. What if she married her father, like the Egan old dude? Or maybe not married, but had her or something? I don't know. Could Cobel be her mother? Is that why they, like... I don't know. I just thought about it. She's the only older character in that show that could potentially be her mother. She's the person with, like, the most mysterious background. We don't really know much about her. We know that she's completely faithful to this ideology, but at the same time, not faithful enough that she would want to blindly work without any recognition or praise. I feel like it's her mother. Am I being too delusional? Let me know. Let me know what you think Cobel's role is in it. Because, I mean, she's going to come back. She's in the intro with a fairly important role, so she's going to come back for sure. Man, it would be so fun if she was Elena's mother. We'll see. But anyway, that's all I have for you today. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm enjoying it a lot and getting really because I want to know what's happening. But yeah, join me here next week as we're going to start reviewing Yellow Jackets and The White Lotus and continue Prime Target and Severance. Join me on my Patreon where I'm reviewing Paradise and The Pit. And I will be reviewing a few more shows. And yeah, see you eventually. Bye.